Have you ever wondered why some people slip into your mind and stay there, even when you barely know them? It's not an accident. It's not fate. It's a psychological mechanism that has been studied, tested, and used in ways that can make someone linger in your thoughts until it feels almost impossible to shake them off. And the shocking truth is, you can deliberately trigger this effect in others. This is the dark psychology trick that makes anyone obsessed with you. Not by force, not by magic, but by leveraging the way human attention and desire naturally work. The trick begins with something you might not expect. Absence. That's right. Not what you give, but what you withhold. You see, the brain craves resolution. When a story feels unfinished, when a puzzle remains unsolved, our minds loop back again and again, trying to close the gap. And if you can create that gap, intentionally, people will keep coming back to you, replaying your words, analyzing your signals, desperate to make sense of it. This is called the Zeigarnik effect, but you don't need to remember the name. What matters is that this principle alone is powerful enough to keep you stuck in someone's head like a song they can't stop humming. Now let's make this real. Imagine texting someone, and instead of finishing your thought, you leave it slightly open-ended. You drop half a hint. You give them 80% of the answer and leave the rest hanging. What happens? Their mind won't let it go. They replay it. They fill in the missing piece with their own imagination. And the more they imagine, the more emotionally invested they become. This is not manipulation in the cartoonish sense, it's alignment with how the brain seeks closure. But here's the twist. When you do this strategically, you become the source of that unresolved tension, which means you become the obsession. But absence alone isn't enough. Here's where it gets darker. If you only withdraw, people lose interest. Too much space kills curiosity. The real trick is the push and pull. You step forward with intensity, just enough to spark emotional charge, and then you step back, leaving a gap. It's like lighting a match and then quickly snuffing it out. The smoke lingers, the scent hangs in the air, and the person you're targeting can't help but wonder what might have burned if you'd let it keep going. This contrast is what makes you unforgettable. Why does this work so powerfully? Because human brains are not designed to love balance. We are drawn to contrast. Stability is comfortable, but unpredictability is magnetic. Think about the shows you binge watch, the cliffhangers that keep you pressing next episode at 2 a.m., even when you swore you'd stop. That same mechanism is at play when you become someone's cliffhanger. You are the episode they can't stop replaying. And once you realize this, you hold a tool most people never consciously wield. In a moment, I'll show you how to use subtle timing to amplify this effect. But first, let's be clear about why people fall into obsession in the first place. Obsession doesn't happen when everything is smooth. It doesn't happen when someone feels they've figured you out. Obsession happens in the tension between knowing and not knowing, between closeness and distance. That tension creates a mental itch, and the only way to scratch it is by coming back to you. This is why those who reveal everything too soon, every thought, every feeling, every plan, are easily forgotten. The mystery evaporates, the spell breaks, but those who leave carefully crafted gaps, they're the ones we chase. Now here's a dangerous layer to this trick. If you combine the power of unresolved tension with emotional spikes, moments of intensity, you create an even deeper hook. For example, a sudden burst of attention, laughter, or intimacy followed by silence can send someone spiraling into a loop of, what did that mean? Did I imagine it? Will it happen again? The mind doesn't like randomness, so it builds a web of thoughts around you, trying to decode the pattern. And the more they try, the deeper they sink. This is how ordinary moments transform into obsessions. By the way, if this is helping you see people and relationships differently, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. Now let's return to timing, because timing is where this trick turns from interesting to irresistible. Imagine you give someone attention right at the moment they least expect it, just as they're pulling away, just as they're doubting your interest. That jolt of unexpected validation lands 10 times harder than if it had been constant. Then you withdraw again, leaving a hollow space that only you can fill. This rhythm of reward and absence doesn't just capture attention. It programs it. It conditions someone to look for your next move like a gambler waiting for the next spin of the wheel. That anticipation becomes obsession. But here's the dark part. Obsession doesn't feel like choice. When it takes hold, it feels like compulsion. The person will rationalize their thoughts, tell themselves there's some deep reason they can't stop thinking of you. But in reality, what's happening is simple. You've hacked the natural loops of attention, tension, and reward that govern every human brain. This isn't about whether they like you or not. It's about the fact that their mind cannot let go until the loop is complete. And since you never fully close it, you become the unfinished story that demands a sequel. Now here's where most people go wrong. They think obsession is built by being constantly present, always available, flooding someone with attention. But that only creates comfort, and comfort is the enemy of obsession. Think of it like fire. Too much wood piled on at once smothers the flame. The secret is air, the space between. Without air, the fire dies. With just the right amount, it grows hotter, brighter, impossible to ignore. That's exactly how attention works in the human mind. Your presence creates the spark, but your absence feeds the flame. And if you really want to take this further, you need to understand the emotional anchor. People don't become obsessed with you simply because you exist. They become obsessed because you are tied to an emotion they crave. For some, it's the thrill of unpredictability. For others, it's the validation that feels rare. When you provide that emotion and then take it away, they attach that craving directly to you. You are no longer just a person in their life. You are the trigger for their favorite chemical cocktail. Dopamine, adrenaline, oxytocin, all wrapped together in a package they can't put down. And once the brain ties you to those highs and lows, breaking free feels almost impossible. Here's a vivid example. Picture someone who only compliments you once in a while, but when they do, it feels like the sun breaking through clouds. You wait for it. You anticipate it. The compliments are rare, but when they arrive, they flood your system with warmth. You associate that glow with the person who gave it to you. That's not just flattery, that's reinforcement. And when it's done with precision, it can hook someone deeper than constant praise ever could. Because constant praise becomes background noise. Rare, unpredictable praise becomes addictive. Now let's add one more layer. Silence. The underrated weapon in dark psychology. Most people rush to fill silence because it feels uncomfortable. But the one who controls silence controls the frame. By not rushing, by holding space, by letting someone sit with their own thoughts, you make them hyper-aware of you. The silence becomes heavy, charged, and when you finally break it, your words carry twice the weight. They lean forward, they hang on it, they replay it later. Silence, when used deliberately, is not absence, it's pressure. But you might be asking, isn't this manipulative? Isn't this wrong? And that's a fair question. The truth is, psychology is neutral. Fire can warm a home or burn it down. The same principles that create obsession can also deepen attraction, bond friendships, or motivate change. The key is awareness. If you understand how obsession works, you're not only capable of creating it, you're also immune to it when others try to use it against you. And believe me, people use these tricks more than you realize. Sometimes consciously, sometimes instinctively. That friend who makes you chase their approval. That person who seems magnetic even though they're not your type. The boss who gives you rare praise, keeping you addicted to their validation. It's everywhere. So how do you apply this without going too far? The answer is restraint. You don't need to pull every lever at once. Just one, used with care, is enough to create pull. Maybe you leave a story unfinished. Maybe you offer rare bursts of attention. Maybe you let silence do the heavy lifting. One carefully chosen gap can do more than 100 loud gestures. The power lies not in the noise you make, but in the space you leave behind. And here's the twist most people ignore. The real danger of this trick isn't in using it, it's in not realizing when it's being used on you. Because once you start to recognize the push and pull, the gaps, the rare rewards, you begin to see how easily we all fall into these loops. The moment you spot it, you take your power back. You can enjoy the game without being consumed by it. That's the deeper mastery. Not just making others obsessed with you, but never being controlled by obsession yourself. So let's bring this home. The dark psychology trick that makes anyone obsessed with you isn't about overwhelming them with attention. It's about leaving gaps. About sparking emotion then stepping back. About becoming the unfinished story that their mind can't stop writing. You don't need to be the loudest, the most dramatic, or the most available. You need to be the one who understands tension. Because tension is the engine of obsession. And here's the final reflection. Obsession doesn't grow in certainty, it grows in mystery. It doesn't live in comfort, it thrives in the chase. If you want someone to keep circling back, if you want to be the thought that lingers, then master the balance of presence and absence. Give just enough to ignite, then withdraw to let the fire breathe. That is how you become the cliffhanger in someone's life story. Now we've only scratched the surface. Because while this trick can make anyone obsessed with you, there's an even deeper principle most people overlook. One that explains not just attraction but loyalty, influence, and long-term control. And once you see it, you'll never look at human behavior the same way again. But that's a story for another video.